Welcome back to our deep dive. Today, we're jumping into something a lot of folks are excited about. The 2025 Royal Enfield Himalayan.
Yeah, we've got this great article laying out all the specs and upgrades.
Exactly. So our mission here is to sift through all that data and figure out what these changes really mean if you're eyeing up a versatile adventure bike.
For sure. This piece covers the engine, the tech, how it compares to rivals, comfort, even answers some FAQs. It's pretty comprehensive.
Think of it as getting the inside scoop on how this bike has evolved.
Precisely.
Okay, let's dive right in. The big news seems to be the engine. All new 452cc liquid-cooled Sherpa engine.
Yep. The article quotes 40 horsepower, around 8,000 RPM, and 40 newton meters of torque, peaking at 5,500 RPM.
So what's the big deal here compared to the old Himalayan? Why liquid cooling now?
Well, liquid cooling is a game changer for sustained performance. Think high temperatures, long highway stretches, or even high-altitude riding. It manages heat much better than the old air oil-cooled unit.
Right, more consistency.
Exactly. And that torque figure, 40 newton-meters coming in fairly low at 5,500 RPM, that suggests really usable power. You won't need to rev its guts out to get moving.
Good for technical stuff off-road then. Needing that smooth pull.
Absolutely. Predictable power, easy to manage when things get tricky, no sudden jolts. The article calls it a big leap, and, well, the numbers back that up. It sounds much more responsive.
Okay, makes sense. Now, moving beyond just the engine, the article mentions it's lighter and a new design.
Yeah, curb weight is down to 196 kilos, which might not sound dramatic, but less weight almost always means better handling, more agile.
You'd feel that flicking it side to side on a trail, I bet. Or even just parking it.
Definitely. And they've added an adjustable seat height, 825 millimeter of up to 845 millimeter. That's a really thoughtful touch.
Yeah, opens it up to more riders, doesn't it? Boosts confidence if you can get your feet down easier.
Totally. Key for an adventure bike aiming for broad appeal.
And there's mention of a new steel twin spar frame. Is that just jargon, or does it mean something tangible for the ride?
Oh, it's significant. A twin spar frame generally offers better rigidity compared to the older cradle frames. Think two main beams connecting the steering head directly to the swing arm pivot.
So, stronger backbone.
Essentially, yeah. It helps distribute stress better, which usually translates to improved stability and a more connected feel, especially when cornering or carrying luggage. It's a more modern, performance-oriented design.
Okay, interesting. Now, let's get into the tech. This isn't your grandpa's Enfield anymore, is it? 3 riding modes: performance, eco, off-road.
Right. This is where the bike really shows its adaptability. These modes let you tailor the engine response and, crucially, the ABS settings.
So, performance is full power, sharp throttle.
Likely, yeah. For spirited road riding, eco mode would probably dial things back a bit, smooth out the power for better fuel economy. Good for touring.
And off-road, the article specifically mentions it adjusts power and ABS.
That's key. You'd expect maybe a saucer power delivery, but the main thing is likely altering the ABS. We'll get to that, but it probably lets you switch off the rear ABS.
Ah, okay. And the display of 4-inch TFT? That sounds pretty modern.
It is. Full color, shows all the usual stuff, but the big additions are turn-by-turn navigation and smartphone connectivity via Bluetooth.
Built-in nav. That's huge for adventure riding. No more fiddling with phone mounts, hopefully.
Exactly. And being able to manage calls or music discreetly, that's a nice convenience. Plus, automatic brightness adjustment, a small detail, but useful.
Definitely. Okay, let's talk dirt capability. Suspension. It says 43 millimeter USD forks up front, monoshock rear, both with 200 millimeters of travel.
Yeah, 200 millimeters is a healthy amount of travel for an adventure bike in this class. That's what lets it soak up the bumps, rocks, the rough stuff.
The wheels on the ground.
Pretty much. Better traction, better control. The upside-down forks are generally stiffer, too, which helps with steering precision compared to traditional forks.
Right. And brakes, dual-channel ABS is standard, great for the road. But you mentioned switching off rear ABS for off-road. Why is that important?
Well, when you're off-road, sometimes you want to lock the rear wheel, say for initiating a slide to tighten a turn or controlling descent on a loose slope. Standard ABS prevents that lockup.
Ah, so it can actually be counterproductive in some off-road scenarios.
It can be, yeah. So giving riders the option to disable the rear ABS provides more control for those who know how to use that technique. It's a common feature on proper adventure bikes.
Got it. Shifting gears to comfort, crucial for those long adventure rides. The article mentions better seat cushioning, upright bars, mid-mount pegs. Sounds like they focused on reducing fatigue.
Looks like it. That classic adventure bike posture, upright, relaxed, is designed for hours in the saddle. Reduces strain on your back, wrists, legs.
And a better seat is always welcome.
Always. Small ergonomic tweaks like that add up to make a big difference on a multi-day trip.
And what about the practical stuff? LED lights, windscreen, tank grips, metal pegs, rear rack. Seems like it's ready to go out of the box.
Pretty much, yeah. These aren't just accessories. They're essential adventure features. LEDs mean better visibility, seeing, and being seen.
Windscreen cuts down fatigue on the highway.
Right. Tank grips help you hold on, especially when standing. Metal pegs are tougher and grippier than rubber. And that rear rack means you can strap luggage on straight away. It ticks a lot of boxes for practicality.
Okay, so the big question, how does it compare? The article lines it up against the KTM 390 Adventure, BMW G310 GS, and Honda CRF 300L Rally. What's the takeaway there?
It seems like the Himalayan is trying to carve out that middle ground. You know, the KTM 390 ADV has more power, definitely, but it's more expensive and maybe feels a bit more road biased, according to the article.
In the BMW.
The G310 GS brings the BMW badge and maybe a premium feel, but it's down on power and suspension travel compared to the new Himalayan.
Then there's the Honda CRF 300L Rally.
Yeah, the Rally is probably the most hardcore off-roader of the bunch, particularly suspension-wise. But it likely compromises on touring comfort and engine power for longer distances.
So, the Himalayan is sort of the jack of all trades in this group, balancing off-road chops, comfort, and price.
That seems to be the conclusion, yeah. It's aiming for that sweet spot, capable enough for real adventure, comfortable enough for the long haul, but without that premium price tag.
Right. The article then summarizes key advantages. Let's recap those. Stronger mid-range power. Why is mid-range so important?
Because that's where you live most of the time. Overtaking, pulling out of corners, climbing hills, that's all mid-range. Having strong, accessible power there makes the bike feel effortless and responsive in everyday riding.
Less shifting, maybe.
Could be, yeah. Less feeling like you constantly have to work the engine hard.
Then it lists the ride-by-wire system and the eco-performance modes. What's the benefit of ride-by-wire beyond enabling the modes?
Well, ride-by-wire means an electronic connection between your throttle grip and the engine, instead of a physical cable. It allows for much finer control over engine behavior.
Smoother throttle, maybe.
Often, yes. And it's the foundation for features like riding modes, and potentially things like traction control or cruise control down the line, though they aren't mentioned here. It's just a more sophisticated system.
Improved balance and cornering from the new frame, we touched on that. So it's not just about straight-line speed or off-road bumps.
Absolutely not. Good handling is confidence-inspiring. Makes the bike feel planted and predictable, whether you're on tarmac twisties or navigating gravel roads. It's crucial for overall enjoyment and safety.
And the TFT display with navigation, clearly a big plus. Ergonomics for comfort, we covered, but also practical bits like LEDs, the bigger 17-liter tank, and a USB port. Small things, big impact.
Definitely. That 17-liter tank means better range, fewer fuel stops, which is great on an adventure. LEDs are a safety boost. And a USB port. Well, it's almost essential these days for phones, GPS, etc. Shows they're thinking about how people actually use these bikes.
Okay, let's quickly run through the FAQ section from the article. Good quick answers here. First, suitable for long-distance touring.
The FAQ says yes. Points to the comfy ergonomics, the seat, the riding modes.
Engine type.
That new 452cc liquid-cooled Sherpa. Around 40 horsepower, good low-end torque.
Riding modes confirmed.
Yep. Eco, performance, and that specific off-road mode adjusting power and ABS.
Made improvements over the old model. Quick summary.
More powerful engine, TFT display, better suspension, lighter frame, improved ergonomics. Pretty much across the board.
Is it beginner-friendly?
The FAQ is a bit cautious. Says the smooth power and upright posture help, but the weight might still be a factor for absolute beginners. So maybe accessible, but needs consideration.
Smartphone connection.
Yes, Bluetooth. Connect to the Royal Enfield app for calls, music, and that turn-by-turn navigation on the screen.
Approximate top speed.
Around 150 km, which is about 93 mile per hour. Enough for highway cruising, the FAQ suggests.
And fuel tank capacity.
17 liters, confirm. Should give decent range.
All right. So wrapping this all up, having gone through the article's details on the 2025 Himalayan, what's the final takeaway for listeners?
I think the main thing is that this is a really significant evolution for the Himalayan. It's not just fiddling around the edges. We're seeing a fundamentally more capable engine, modern tech, that actually adds value.
Yeah, like the navigation.
Exactly. And real improvements in comfort and handling. But crucially, it seems like Royal Enfield has managed to do all this while keeping it true to that original Himalayan spirit, accessible, versatile adventure. and probably still at a very competitive price point.
It really does sound like they've listened and delivered a substantial upgrade. It makes you think, doesn't it? What kind of trips could this bike open up, that blend of tougher capability with modern conveniences?
Yeah, or maybe you weigh it against the competition. Is the KTM's extra power worth the cost for you? Is the Honda's ultimate off-road focus more your style?
Decisions, decisions. Hopefully, this deep dive gives everyone a much clearer picture of where the new Himalayan fits in and what it brings to the table.
Definitely. It's an exciting update in the adventure bike world.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We encourage you to take this knowledge and check out some first ride reviews when they land. Until next time.